PlayStation exclusives. Day one on other platforms. PC, Xbox, Nintendo, iOS, Android devices. Is this a possibility? Is this a reality? Is it happening? That's the question of the day, all right? Now, a lot of people are talking about this. The news is getting bigger simply because there's a lot of influencers, YouTube influencers, social media influencers, Twitter influencers in gaming spreading this information around. That it's happening, it's going to happen, yada, 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 all right? So how did we get to this point? Well, simply because I like to call it compensation for what Microsoft is doing, right? For over, I would say maybe 2 years or so, I've been telling people, hey, Microsoft is going to put their games everywhere because that's exactly what Phil Spencer's saying. He's literally telling everyone, hey, we're going to put games on every device. It's no longer about the individual device. It's all about the gamers and where they want to play. He's been saying this for 2 years, a year and a half, whatever the window is. And I'm like, there's no other way of describing it. He's telling people what Microsoft is about to do. But you have many people that were against that. They were like, oh no, what he really means this, or he really means that. The mental gymnastics going left and right over this, over the last year and a half. Now, with Halo Master Chief Collection being on Steam, they finally saw the light that yes, Microsoft they want to put everything everywhere. This whole thing about client or exclusive or whatever, they don't care. No more. They don't care about the device or competing adversaries or competing platforms. It's clear they don't care about that anymore, right? And a lot of these influencers finally see that, okay? So now, to compensate, Microsoft's vision of how they want to do gaming, they're saying that's everyone's vision of doing gaming. What's hilarious is the one thing they didn't understand for the last year or two, they now got it all figured out for everyone else. All right. So once again, they're spreading BS, miseducating gamers, and now it's hard to have conversation with gamers because everybody's just talking about nonsense. So here's another segment to set you straight. Will Sony put their games, all their exclusives, their big exclusives, on first party, on other devices, PC, Xbox, whatever. Okay, I will tell you at this point in time, the answer is no. When PlayStation 5 launches, PlayStation 5 will have the big exclusives for PlayStation 5. That will be Sony's focus, okay? Can that change over time? I will answer the question, yes. That can possibly change. Their vision can change over time, right? So what would make them change? What will make them start out the gen with PS5 having exclusives, but then all of a sudden, halfway into it, or maybe with the PlayStation 6, day one exclusives are everywhere now, rendering them not to be exclusive to the console. You could play wherever you want. What would make them change? The answer to that is the combination of hardware sales and software sales sold on that hardware. Because that's what happened to Microsoft, right? Trust me, if Microsoft had an Xbox One sell 100 million consoles and dominate the industry in software sales on that console, you would not be seeing any of these moves of play anywhere on any device. Because then that would mean the console's doing exactly what it's meant to do. But because the console is not selling, it's not even selling as good as the Xbox 360 anymore, it's not dominating the industry in software sales, Microsoft changed their plan. They no longer believe in the console system being their main focus because it's not working for them. So they moved on. This strategy is working for Sony. It's also working for Nintendo, right? So because of this, they will continue with that strategy. Sony will continue with this strategy with the PlayStation 5 until it fails them. If the PlayStation 5, for whatever reason, doesn't end up as successful as the PS4, it doesn't sell the consoles like the PS4, it doesn't sell first-party and third-party games like the PS4, everything is just trending down, they will change their strategy and do this play anywhere philosophy. They will do the same, simply because the dedicated console strategy is failing them. That's when they would do that, okay? But if the PlayStation 5 just mimics, just does the same, doesn't even have to do better, just does the same as a PS4, great console sales year over year, great leading the industry in software sales for both first party and third party combined, they're going to stick with that. Because that's the strategy that's making the gaming division successful, right? That's when you know, okay? People, YouTube influencers are using this LinkedIn article where Sony's hiring more people so they can put their cloud gaming streaming, so they could push console quality games on any device. That's the job advertisement, right? They want to hire people. All that advertisement simply is they want to put PS Now on other devices. They don't want to limit it to PlayStation consoles and PC. They want it on more devices, so they're hiring more people to do it, right? The big change that changes everything is whether or not Sony decides to put their big exclusives day one on PS Now, right? That's the big change. Now, look at this. PS Now, $10 a month, $12 a month, whatever, whatever. You get to access. If Sony, you get to access all these games. I think right now PlayStation has over 600 games available, okay? Take a game like Spider-Man. Spider-Man sold 10 million over 3 months, over a 3-month period. And that's a $60 game. Why would Sony want to put a game like Spider-Man or a game like God of War, games that sell 3 million at $60 a pop, like this, like a Thanos snap, like that? Why would they want to put that game on a service where they only get $10 a month? And keep in mind, that $10 a month is spread across 600 games. Okay? And many of them are third party. So all that stuff is split when they selling games like that for $60 a pop. So business-wise, it doesn't even make sense, right, to make that decision for them at this point in time, right? Now, if the games don't sell, then yes, they'll put it day one on PS Now because they're not selling, And that's what we're seeing with Game Pass. Games that don't sell too well go to Game Pass. Games that are not great, that people will not give a damn to play at $60, they're going to Game Pass, right? But the big games that are selling, they're not going to Game Pass. The big games that aren't have issues, they're not going to Game Pass. You don't see Division 2 going to Game Pass, right? You're not going to see Anthem going to Game Pass. You're not going to see the new Call of Duty go day one on Game Pass. You're not going to see these games because these games actually sell. And that's the hard sell on these streaming services. You sign up for these streaming services, but there's going to be so many games you don't get to play. You only get to play old stuff or stuff you weren't going to play anyway. So Sony's not going to make a decision to put their big guns day one on this platform because the big guns have a responsibility to do two things. Not just be a great game in of itself, but also to push the hardware, right? And once the hardware goes into the consumer's house, they get to sell third party to that consumer. All third party games will be funneled into that hardware. That's the strategy Sony's adopting, and that's what made them the most successful. Now the question is, why do I care about that? When I don't see any money, like Puerto Rock, wouldn't it benefit you that Sony do put games on the devices? That way you have more choices. I get that. Me, I just want to play compelling games. Right? That's what I want. Okay? Now, if a company's trying to sell you a hardware, right, and they believe exclusives is a key strategy to make that hardware look good for the consumer, do you think that company wants to release any BS game to sell that hardware? No. They're going to try to have their developers create some of the best games possible because that best game, that game of the year type game, will wholesale consoles. It will get noticed. Look what God of War has done for the PlayStation 4. Even Spider-Man. People left and right getting consoles buying PlayStation because these are big, compelling games. How many people have you seen be like, oh man, look at Crackdown 3. Man, I'm getting rid of my PlayStation, man, because this is the shit right here. Said no one. No one's doing that. But people are saying, oh man, it's on Game Pass. It's only $10 a month. Hell, I got it. Some people are here saying, I'm playing it for free. Because they paid Game Pass for so long and it's an automatic charge, they don't even think they're paying for Game Pass anymore. I mean, I don't understand the logic. But that's what's happening in Microsoft games right now. Whatever. It's a free game. It just shows up on Game Pass. If I play it, I play. If I don't, no big deal. But on the PlayStation side, god damn, this is a game of the year. Oh my god. I'm done with Xbox. I'm buying a PlayStation. I'm sticking with PlayStation because these games are just too good. You see the two difference? And I'll even throw Nintendo. They canceled Metro Prime 4. Why? Because it's not of quality. It would not have been a game to sell the Switch. So Nintendo axed it. They got rid of the developer, and they put the project in the hands of Retro Studio, and they're starting from scratch. Again, that is a publisher that knows they need to release compelling games to sell their platform. That is my thing about it. What desire does the publisher have to create compelling games? You know, if you make games for every device everywhere and you're just worrying about selling PS Now and Game Pass, you could just be putting bullshit, quantity. That doesn't help me as a gamer. That doesn't oh, look, another shitty game on PS Now. Ooh, I don't care about that. I don't care about adding stuff just to add stuff. That doesn't do anything good. So it's not about Sony making money. It's what intent do they have when it comes to making games? The better the intent that they have, be like, hey, we need a compelling game to sell our platform. That ultimately is what I get out of it, because I get to play an amazing game. It's a situation where you play God of War, Horizon Zero Dawn, The Last of Us 2, Spider-Man versus Crackdown, State of Decay, Sea of Thieves, Phantom Dust original assets. Now, of course, people be like, oh, that's personal preference. Bruh, send that argument somewhere else. All right? If you can't clearly see someone's having a higher standards in the type of games they make, and someone's just throwing stuff just to throw stuff, I don't know what to tell you. Fine. Stick with whatever console you want. It's your preference. Enjoy it. Enjoy what you enjoy. All right? But for me, and my money, for me and what comes in my wallet, I see one company, right? I see two companies, actually. Nintendo's also included, trying to push out the best games possible. And I see the other one is just trying to release filler, because their games is going to be available anywhere, at any time, on any device anyway. So what is the big focus of trying to push a new, big, compelling IP when at the end of the day, it's going to end up on a service that's just $10 a month? We already saw that with the Initiative. In the beginning, rumors of Initiative was going to be a big, huge, quadruple A studio. Then they come out and says, hey, we're going to be a small, agile studio because that's, more versatile. How we go from that to that? Why? Because again, why create a huge, big studio to make big quadruple A games when it's going to end up on a $10 a month service? At that point, you don't need super big games. Really, Microsoft doesn't need. Halo, Gears, Forza, those games were born big, so you can't go back. Microsoft cannot downgrade those games. They have to keep up with how those games started. But any new project, $10 a month on Game Pass. So what do you really expect? And that's it, all right? So ultimately, can Sony one day put games on every device? They could. But what would trigger that situation is a lack of game sales and a lack of console sales. Understand, if PlayStation 5 knocks it out the park next gen, and the console, the game sales, the software sales, right? Some people don't know they're both game sales, software sales is the same thing. Unbelievable. The software sales, game sales are still the most dominant on the PlayStation 5 platform. They're not going to put their games they want on PS Now. Something financial negatively has to cause that decision. All right? Sony's not going to make that decision just to make it. It's going to be a reactive decision. If they see PlayStation 5 failing, if they see software sales failing, they will do games on anywhere, any device. But if PlayStation 5 is kicking it, knocking out the box, the same as PS4, and oh Lord, if it does better than PS4, you ain't seeing these big exclusives day one on any other device but PlayStation 5. That's just the reality. Business, something negative would have to trigger that decision. All right? But anyway, let me know what you think about the video. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. This is your boy Porter Rock 77, your only friend in these YouTube streets. And if you don't mind, please hit the like button and tweet it out to all your favorite social media. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, wherever you do. All right? I truly appreciate it. And hey, enjoy your Sunday with gaming. I'm about to hop on. Yes, I'm playing Anthem. I just love the idea of me flying around like Thor. Can someone make an Iron Man game? Somebody. Anybody. Well, not anybody. But somebody. Anyway, peace.